What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to the $10,000 EIDL stimulus update for all incomes. It is Tuesday, January the 26th, 2021. Please do me each favor. Give this video a thumbs up, hashtag EIDL with your comments below. Copy and paste the exact title of this video. And make sure in the description you tag the following people: Jackie Rosen, John Cornyn, Ben Cardin, your two state senators, and the one and only Chucky Schumer from my home state of New York. I now live in Georgia. And last but not least, if you'd like to win $500 along with 20 other people, as I give away $10,000 before the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I ask that you please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with a little bit of good news. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I have my trusty cup of coffee, the usual Javalier Colombian blend with some organic heavy cream and some honey from a local beekeeper right down the street. I live in a town called Roswell. I am in high income, so I'm at the end of the line, and I don't matter, because the good news to start with, ladies and gentlemen, cheers to you, is we're starting to learn from some accountants that we're talking to that as many as 40, perhaps even as high as 50% of you that are watching me right now might fall into low income. I'll give you an example or two. If you live in a town with 2,000 people or less, you could qualify for low income even if you're all making 100 G's or more. And if you live in a census tract, let's say in the poor side of Beverly Hills, and you're not in 90210, you could also qualify under the IRS code that the SBA is using as low income. So look, somewhere between 40 and 50% of you, as long as you can show a 30% economic loss and you've got fewer than 300 employees, you're going to get $10,000 or the balance thereof at some point. Hopefully before the end of the year. If I had to guess, I would say that the SBA is going to send out an email within a week to 10 days in and around the Super Bowl. You're going to have 21 days to either find out why you're not qualified or get the money. So if I'm you and I'm in low income, and that might be up to half of you, I'm planning on getting the money somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks from now. If it happens sooner, fantastic. But for the rest of you, like myself, I live in a town where it's $98,000 median income, and my state of Georgia is a little over $62,000. So while I'm doing okay, and I did get my rear end kicked when the lockdown began last March, April, and May, I know a lot of folks in this area right down the street from me that I see almost every other day that are just sucking wind like you wouldn't believe. In fact, we just got news yesterday. 1.5 million small businesses have gone under in the last 6 months, and an estimated 1.5 million to as many as 2.5 million are going to go under before this summer unless the SBA does something, especially for the solopreneurs or those that have 10 employees or less that have been waiting, in many cases for up to 10 months, all the way back to the end of March, to get $10,000. Or if you applied after July the 15th, when they ran out of money, you are due $10,000 in full. And this guy right here, who happens to be a GNR fan, will not rest until you get your $10,000, whether you're in low, middle, or high. They remove the caps and put them back at $2 million where they belong. And the EIDL loan, as Big Ben Cardin likes to say, should be forgiven altogether and treated just like the PPP. But let me start with a bit of a rant. And don't forget, a copy of this is going to every senator, congressman, and women in this country. Let me start with Chuck Schumer. Okay, Mr. Big Shot, you are in control of the Senate right now, and I'm actually somewhat of a fan. I don't agree with your politics all the time, and you can play the most ridiculous games, just like your counterpart, Mr. Darth Vader, Mitch McConnell. But I remember seeing you on TV August the 19th, Mr. Schumer. You were in New York, about an hour from my hometown. You were in Ogdensburg or thereabouts. I grew up in a town called Antwerp, about an hour away. And I saw you on camera talking about S4227, where you said you wanted $80 billion for the EIDL grant and $100 billion of more EIDL loan money. Nowhere in that interview, and it went on for almost an hour, Chuck, Nowhere in that interview did you say it must be in low income. So I'm asking you, the man who's now running the Senate, how could you turn your back on your own constituents in New York, most of which are middle to even high income? How can you stare them in the face and not give them the $10,000 that you yourself were advocating for in late August? And may I remind everybody, you and Miss Nancy Pelosi in late April sent a scathing letter to the SBA, slamming Miss Javita Carranza, telling her she had no authorization to ration the grant at $1,000 per employee or to cap the loans at $150,000. So, Mr. Schumer, what do you have to say for yourself? I hope everybody is sharing and tagging. I want to know. You're running the Senate right now, and I may as well include it, as I mentioned yesterday, Miss Jackie Rosen and John Cornyn, who actually co-sponsored the EIDL for Small Business Act known as S4227 that you yourself were a big fan of. How in the world can you three stand in front of your middle to high income constituents, all of which apply in Vegas, Dallas, and New York, and not pay them the $10,000 or the balance thereof? We would like an answer, because I got news for you. This guy right here and plenty more just like me are going to bring, if we're forced to, one of the largest class action lawsuits in SBA history. And unfortunately, we may have to sue Miss Isabel Guzman, who's now the new head of the SBA. And that is not something I want to do. I'd love to sue Miss Javita Carranza, because as far as I'm concerned, she played as big a role as anyone in destroying millions of small business owners, sole proprietors, and independent contractors in this country. So Jackie, John, Chuck, and may I also include Big Ben Cardin. You've got a heart of gold, Ben. You hosted on December the 10th a Facebook Live with Karen Mills, former head of the SBA under the Obama administration. Miss Isabel Guzman, who's now coming in to run the SBA, was her protege. Nowhere in your Facebook Live, Ben, nowhere did Karen Mills say that it was supposed to be for low income only. In fact, she said it was a mistake to ration the grant at $1,000 per employee for everyone. She didn't say low income only. So I want to know, between all of you, especially you, Chuck Schumer, I want to know, why are you turning your back, apparently, on middle to high income? And if you're not, somebody needs to step forward right now before lawsuits start flying and explain what I think could be the case, that we're following the SBA Lifeline Grant and the HEROES Act. Pages 30 to 33, pinned in the top comment of the summary, says $20 billion for low income, and they shall go first. I hope that's what we're seeing. Followed by $20 billion for middle to high income, which should be Section 332, the Emergency EIDL Grant. Because no lawyer that we've had look at this, some of whom are going to sue, by the way, none have been able to say that Section 331, which is the targeted EIDL advance, is the same as Section 332, the Emergency EIDL Grant. The targeted EIDL advance was not in Section 1110 of the CARES Act, which is the revision in Section 332. They're totally separate. You're going to lose in the court of law if we have to take it that far. You cannot say that the targeted EIDL advance of Section 331 is the same as the Emergency EIDL Grant of the CARES Act, which is Section 332. That is not a legally correct interpretation of the law. So if the SBA is once again out to lunch, and I'm going to blame Ms. Carranza for this one of you needs to get on the horn right now, if you haven't already, and say, hold on a second. We need to put out a press release. By the way, they took the press release off from last Friday where they said they were relaunching. Somebody realized that was an epic failure. But somebody needs to get on the phone and say, look, you need to make it clear, Miss Isabel Guzman, that this is to be the low-income, i.e. SBA Lifeline Grant community that's going first. Followed by, shortly thereafter, in Section 332 of the Emergency EIDL Grant, those that are in middle to high income. And Chuck, since you're now running the Senate, you have the power, along with Jackie and John, who sponsored S4227, to bring another $80 billion. Hell, we'll take $50 billion of EIDL grant money to the table. And perhaps most importantly, for a lot of our bigger small businesses, We want another $100 million to go with about 120 billion, that's still sitting there unspent. You lowered the amount of PPP that you gave us in this go round, and you're screwing middle to high income, perhaps. But we need an answer, because I can tell you right now, I have 60,000 subscribers. I'll have 100,000 once I launch this new business to help small business owners regrow their company. And I will sue until the cows come home, until you guys honor congressional intent, Chuck. Something you and 50 other senators, congressmen, and women said was a violation of the law when the SBA didn't hand over $10,000 or the balance thereof. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I ain't going anywhere until everybody gets their money. I am here for all income. So until next time, always remember, I love each and every single one of you. And thank you so much for watching.